Hello, what is up? So, Nvidia have pissed me off again. Not because of their drivers, funnily enough. It is because of this video, Gamer Nexus. So he's been literally threatened by Nvidia, like they're trying to dictate to him how to review a product because they want him to review the 5060 Ti with multi-frame generation. So they're trying to hide the true performance of the card, the raster performance. But first, I want to take a look at this because this is a really good video. Linus Tech Tips. He stuck up for Boxed 4 years ago, and he basically said he called him out, Nvidia. So let's watch this.
Is the argument that is being put forward, because this is not Nvidia saying, hey, sorry, we only have so many Founders Editions cards to send out, and you didn't make the cut because it's going to be only people with 1 million subscribers or more from now on. That's our new policy. Sorry, we would have loved to work with you. This is Nvidia making a clear line in the sand that says, you will not be receiving our products because you do not agree with Nvidia's position about what is good about Nvidia's products.
And this is somewhere where I think it actually is almost even a little bit worse than that. Something that actually really drove me nuts.
Well, I'm going to go through line by line here, Luke.
Okay, just based off what you just said, give me one moment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm real fired up right now, Luke.
Okay. It is very clear from your community commentary that you do not see things the same way that we. Okay, fine, good enough. But then they also include that we gamers and the rest of the industry do. So they are trying to make them feel small and alone.
That is some.
And that's what really made me laugh. Nvidia are calling themselves gamers even back in 2020. So that is a complete joke, isn't it?
Presumptuous right there, for starters.
Yes. Yes.
And for number two, okay, that is not even the most strong-arm mafia bullshit that's going on here. Not even by a long shot.
No.
So
just what you're saying.
We're gonna start with the beginning here, okay? We've reached a critical juncture in the adoption of ray tracing, and it has gained industry-wide support from top titles, developers, game engines, APIs, consoles, and GPUs. Okay, you want a medal? Like, okay. I don't even dispute that. But that's not the topic of conversation today.
Yeah.
As you know, Nvidia is all in for ray tracing. Okay, it's important and core to the future of gaming. I don't dispute that. Don't have a problem yet. It's also only one part of our focused R&D efforts on revolutionizing video games and creating a better experience for gamers. Okay. This philosophy is reflected in developing technologies like deep learning, super sampling, reflex, and broadcast that offer immense values to consumers who are purchasing a GPU. I'm sorry, is this a letter or a press release? Like, you're literally telling Hardware Unboxed what a GPU does. Are you what is this patronizing nonsense? Okay, now here's where it gets really bad. Okay? Gamers, paraphrasing here, it says they, okay? Consumers, gamers, they don't get free GPUs. They work hard for their money and they keep their GPUs for multiple years. This says a few things to me. Number one is it says that reviewers get, quote unquote, free GPUs. Like it is benevolent Nvidia that is bestowing upon you, for which you should be grateful, for which you owe them something for granting you this GPU. I have a newsflash for Nvidia, okay? And I'm not the only one. In the time since I started the pre-stream, okay? The pre-stream for this show until now, based on one call out for our mouse pad, I have made enough to buy 10 RTX 3090s. I don't care. I don't need your graphics card. And this is not about that. Number two issue. Now, to be clear, the mouse pad was a big launch for us. That's like not the ordinary. But there's more issues here. Number two is the way that this is worded. There is a transaction that's taking place here. There's absolutely a transaction, but there are multiple transactions, okay? You are giving the media this card, but it's about more than the card. It's access to the drivers ahead of time. It's access to media briefing materials that allow us to cover it properly. And it is not for us. It is for your consumers. It is to educate your consumers, which if you make a good product is effectively marketing.
Yeah, so I'll stop it there because it is a really long video. But yeah, I've agreed with everything you said. Actually, I haven't watched much of Linus. Obviously, I know who he is, but I really rate him after this because he's sticking up for the consumer. And he's right. Nvidia seem to want to manipulate consumers, the uneducated consumer, to make them think that the real FPS is actually the multi-frame generation. So that's why they're trying to force that onto tech reviewers, like Hardware Unboxed. So they've tried it. Well, I mean, this was 5 years ago now. So they tried to do it back then. With the ray tracing, they wanted ray tracing along with raster. So they wanted all that in with the benchmarks, and he didn't agree to it. And to this day, they're still doing raster with everyone else. But so there's big, you know, I got to give them credit. This is why I really like Hardware Unboxed, because they won't be bought by anyone. And so the latest one is another one who I really like, Gamer Nexus. So listen to this.
It later uses those to manipulate the media, and how its executives throw its own employees under the bus whenever the press exposes something like this. Jensen will be talking about
artificial intelligence
and burying the RTX 5060 launch. For the last 6 months, Nvidia has been pressuring us under threat of access to include MFG, or multi-frame generation 4X, on charts alongside devices that don't even support it, even though we've said that it's not a like-for-like comparison.
I mean, this bloke, I really can't stand him. I think he's a con man, and I wouldn't trust him to stir my fucking tea.
And that it would be an unfair misrepresentation and outright lie to even do as much. We've also heard from much smaller media how Nvidia has slithered into their DMs to offer samples under specific guidelines. At this point, we think it's time to share some of this to protect those smaller outlets, but also make sure consumers are aware of what Nvidia is doing behind the scenes in what we thought was a transparent and open communication with engineering, and what has become something we think is more sinister. And I guess this might destroy the possibility of working with Nvidia at any point in the near future, because it is a kind of scorched earth approach, but that's the GN Chef special. Scorched earth.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Steve. He won't be bought either. He's anything like this, he'll call out.
Intel's been on the list, AMD's been on the list, Nvidia's been on the list, and off the list, and on the list, and off the list, and on the list. And they're on the list again now. Nvidia's restriction of the newest RTX 5060 review units and drivers is interesting, where they're not distributing drivers until launch day, but it's not special. Today is about, in our opinions, Nvidia's malignant poisoning of the media by creating a facade of open access to its people and then using those people like poker chips to subversively try to advance a certain narrative, even though it already controls 90% of the market. And less than ever, Nvidia has needed to engage in subterfuge and manipulation, and yet more than ever, we feel that they're trying it. And that they decided to try changing editorial direction with us, of all of the outlets, made us talk to other media outlets to learn about their experience of it. And we'll have some of that later in the week as well. Now, in order to continue to be allowed to talk to thermal engineer Malcolm and technical latency expert Guillermo, both of whom are audience favorites and people we greatly enjoy working with, we've been informed that we need to talk more about multi-frame generation, especially MFG 4X, and include MFG 4X on charts, even with cards that can't feature it. And NVIDIA wants to reinforce, we think, Jensen's lie, where it's committed to making sure that 5070 equals 4090 is true. Maybe there's a concern of a future class action or something, and they want to create a paper trail to try and say that actually...
Yeah, so that was a load of bollocks. A 5070 as good as a 4090, but it's just fake frames, and that's the sad thing is a lot of the people, like say new PC gamers or people that don't understand how it works, they will fall for it. They will look at them charts. So that's what Nvidia are doing. They're trying to prey on these people that look at these charts, don't think much of it, and they just think, oh, that looks good. I'm getting 200 frames there. And this is what they're trying to do. So they're trying to shut all these reviewers up.
It is true. With increasing boldness, Nvidia has stated to us that they might not be able to keep letting us interview Guillermo and Malcolm if we don't produce reviews the way Nvidia executives want them to be produced. Now, us doing exactly what Nvidia asks, even though it's in direct opposition to what we believe is right for the consumer, would be a breach of trust. And it would be lying. Sort of like what Jensen did when he said this.
4090 performance at 549.
We brought you this video with store.gamersnexus.net and 10% off coupon code IDGAF, as in, I don't give a fuck. You can apply it to our GPU paper launch t-shirt, which shows a legally distinct GPU entering a shredder to be turned into a nice green piece of paper. It's possible that Nvidia applies this particular brand of retribution to us today, and so to continue supporting our independent reporting, head over to store.gamersnexus.net and grab one of these t-shirts in a 100% cotton or comfortable tri-blend. You should also check out our mod mats, including our new B-Stock mod mat listings for a more affordable large variant, and our ever-popular GN15 large PC building anti-static mod mats. Our project
I don't give a fuck that he jokes that.
and soldering mats are also available in blue, green, red, and yellow, and offer a thick, high heat resistant surface for any kind of project with easy cleanup. Consider also our new tabletop gaming style of popular card games. The product review itself. And AMD actually used to be like that too, back before it fired all of the worst executives that were enforcing that approach. So because Nvidia believes that this is purely transactional, we'll first prove a point. We've produced a ton of content about FSR, DLSS, and MFG. In fact, we've produced 71 minutes of content explicitly covering MFG and DLSS 4 with in-depth testing, frame-by-frame comparison of frame generation, and technical analysis. Some of it was positive. Our 5090 review was 40 minutes long. The teardown was 29 minutes long, meaning that our MFG and DLSS in-depth testing actually is longer than our 5090 review content. If we had included MFG and DLSS coverage in the 5090 review, it would have been under 4 minutes, and something else would have been cut. But it's never enough for Nvidia. Nvidia wants MFG 4X in the charts of the reviews themselves and in the reviews. Here's the bigger problem. Nvidia has created a situation where you can't trust the independence of any MFG or DLSS coverage because of the way it's pushing these constant threats of access to hardware, or in our case, the not even implicit, but the straight up explicit statements that interviews with people like Malcolm.
Yeah, so we won't watch it all because it's going to be too long, because I want to just talk about my thoughts. But you can watch it here. So, yeah, I mean, that is interesting, isn't it? So, it's always been something I've been aware of myself. I just don't trust them as a company. Fair enough, the products. I mean, the 4090 is a very good GPU. But then you had all that bullshit from Jensen saying the 5070 was as good as a 4090 just because it can do fucking multi-frame generation. And it does make me angry. It winds me up, this shit. Because I don't like people that are trying to take me for a fucking idiot, trying to manipulate me with all this fucking technology that don't even work that well. I mean, if they're going to push multi-frame generation on people, then they want to make sure their fucking drivers work for a start, and it ain't causing black screens. So how about that? So as I said before, the 5000 series for me has been complete garbage because you don't get enough uplift. If you've got a 4000 series GPU, there's literally no point, to be honest. I mean, you look at the 5090, but that's melting. And it's literally fucking, as I said, it is like, for me in the UK, it is over 2000. If you got 4090, I don't see the point in upgrading because all that's on offer. You've got DLSS 4, which is available to everyone. I still can't believe it. But then I do think because FSR 4 is so good that he's had to do it anyway, so to stop people going AMD for FSR 4 when it's clearly murdering DLSS 3 FSR 4. So it kind of makes sense now. So I'm not that surprised now after I've seen it for myself, FSR 4. But yeah, it does wind me up when I steal this shit. It's like you think they can't get any worse, and then you see this now they're trying to manipulate reviews to work it in their favour. So they're only going to give GPUs out if they're going to be positive reviews, which is kind of defeats the fucking point of you know what I mean? I don't think all the reviewers with any integrity will not take these GPUs free. Uh, I mean, the well-off channels like Hardware Unboxed, they're gonna just buy it. Linus, like I really rate him. I thought he said 5 years ago he's got enough money to buy his own. I'm not sure what the situation is. Does he still get them free? I don't know, but at least we know he's not gonna bullshit people. I mean, so at the end of the day, I respect people like that, and that's because that's how I think. I don't like all this bullshit. I don't like being dictated to. Uh, if I was offered a free Nvidia 5090 today, but then they said to me, "Oh, you've got to review it in a certain way," I'll tell them to fuck off. I honestly would, uh, because if I'm getting a product to review, I would literally want to be honest, and because I don't like fooling people. I don't like all this manipulation behind it. For me, multi-frame gen is just fake. It's literally, I mean, you're not going to get, they're never going to win with gamers. The cheat for them to call themselves gamers like the consumer. What a fucking joke that is. If they were actually gamers, they might be selling people graphics cards with more performance, not charging us more. Uh, it's all bollocks. It's all delusion, like Jensen. It's all. I don't even blame the people, the Nvidia people that work for Jensen. I don't blame them because they're literally they either fit in or they get sacked. They get fired. So it's all coming from Jensen. So that's what it is. It's it because he's a liar, and all the lies will filter down because it's him in charge. So he's the one who said a 5070 is apparently the same as a 4090 performance just because it's got multi-frame gen. I mean, I could get the lossless scale in that, and I'd be getting more. So you know what I mean on the 4090. So it's all bullshit and delusion for me, and it just makes me angry, and it just makes me. I don't even know the next time I'm going to buy a Nvidia GPU because I don't like the company. Uh, I mean, if you're looking at performance, yeah, they've got an edge in ray tracing, path tracing, but I mean, at the moment I'm set. I've got the 97 XT, which I'm happy with. AMD are not forcing all that shit down my throat. I'm set for a while with what I've got, so I don't feel the need, considering the uplift is literally garbage. The uplift for the 5000 series. It wouldn't surprise me if that 5080 rumored 24GB is like 1% uplift from a 5080 16GB. So I've pretty much called it all along that I just don't like them. I mean, I'm not a fanboy. I think fanboys are stupid, and in that video, Linus actually said it. So it seems to be I think like him. So at the end of the day, I just think it's bullshit that what they're trying to do, and they're literally just trying to fool the consumer, the uneducated consumer, into buying something that ain't that great. Because they're not gonna, like, people play shooters and all that. They're not gonna win them over because it's all about response time in gaming, not just graphics. So the people that want that, a lot of people that play Call of Duty won't be using frame generation. I hardly ever use it. I've got lossless scaling. I just bought that app, but I've not even bothered to use it because I thought it was like a couple of quid. I might try it someday, but I haven't bothered with it. So, you know what I mean? Frame generation, I literally hardly use that. I'll just turn on DLSS and then that's why I got the 4090 because I wanted more raster, not all this fake performance. So that's how I look at it. I mean, at least with upscaling, you do get better response time because it's reducing the resolution. So I don't know. I mean, at this point, all Nvidia do is just piss me off. I try to avoid doing videos like this, but I think this really did wind me up when I'm seeing like even reviewers are getting dictated to review a product with fucking in a certain way just to fool consumers, and I think that needs to be talked about myself. Obviously, I mean, it feels like when I watched that Linus video, because Steve from Hardware Unboxed, he sent a letter to Linus and he read it all out in that video, and it just feels like it's a Nvidia fanboy, like one of the worst fanboys you can, like one of the ultras are talking to that Steve, and it just feels like it's fanboy mentality, the way they threatened him and all that bollocks. So I don't agree with it. So they've got to be offering more than that if you're looking at performance for the 5000 series. Just putting a 5060 Ti. That's what they want. They want 240 frames. Even on their website, the Nvidia website, they've got their own charts, and they've even got a video where I think the 5060 Ti is like 240 frames, and they're comparing it to the previous generation of 60 class GPUs, and obviously it's going to look worse because it can't use fucking multi-frame gen, can it? And the shame is people are falling for it and they will buy that card. You know what I mean? I mean, they won't be getting any more money out of me. And I mean, to be fair, I don't think they care about gamers anymore because they're making money from AI people, and they're getting their money from them, and that's probably why all them 5090s were out of stock anyway, and all the other cards. So it's not hard to work out. At least with AMD, I think they're going to stick around, and because they're actually working with Sony, so you know what I mean. They're going to have to continue that. But I don't shill for any company, but I will call companies out that I think are taking a piss, and Nvidia are. They've been taking a piss since the 5000 series came out. So I'm not going to be quiet about it. Anyone who wants to defend them, whatever, get on with it, but I'm not going to. So I think that is a step. I think that is totally bullshit how I mean, I've always had a feeling that they're doing this sort of stuff. So the people that are getting these free cards, they're just. I mean, this even happened to Daniel Owen. He hasn't got a GPU, and he hasn't been. I don't think they've even explained to him why. But they probably thought, he's too honest. We don't, because he always does reviews at Rasta. So it's pretty obvious that Jensen, he's calling the shots. He's trying to get reviewers to come into his delusion, and he probably knows deep down that it's not brilliant, but he, like the way multi-frame gen is just covering over the cracks of rest of how weak the card is. But he wants it. He just wants people. He's trying to change how it all works, how people look at raster. Like he wants to get rid of raster performance altogether, and he just wants all the charts showing the multi-frame gen. And I mean, AMD haven't got that at the moment. I don't think, I'm not sure about it until I looked into it. But at the end of the day, he just wants to have it all his own way and fool the consumer. That's all I think. And they're not gamers. They're not doing anything for gamers at the moment. They're not even all the drivers. If they were gamers, they would have made sure them 5000 series drivers were not totally garbage on launch, because they've still got issues with them. So yeah, they're just trying to mug people off, selling you less for more money. That's what they're trying to do. So I can see it. Anyway, that's it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.